Hello, everybody. It is difficult to discuss these issues such as racism, sexism, homophobia, and other discriminatory practices in this space, but let's make a start. Using this chapter as a basis and perhaps some of the additional resources provided, share what you might do to make sure anti discriminatory practices become central or perhaps become more visible in your musical teaching settings or contexts. This one I'm going to have to work to make sure I don't go on too long because it's a lot to say. But it has been my experience, not only in teaching but in life, but especially teaching, that the conversation is key. When a student approaches you, and for any reason or whatsoever, your response, your mannerisms, your behavior, your all the indicating factors of what you might think or feel in response to that student who is in front of you matter. And they really matter to the young, to teenagers and younger, because they're still figuring out their place in this world, how they fit and their own identity. And they're looking for any cue that is affirming or and especially criticizing of who they are. So the conversation is tantamount to supporting your students. It is it's the most powerful tool a teacher has, and it is one that you can think about in advance, during and after, and edit and do again. It is one that you can have on a one-on-one basis, as well as in group settings, which is very, very powerful. In my classroom, I always begin with the conversation. I sit down and ascertain who is in front of me, and I also let them know who I am. I almost always start off with, excuse me, I'm doing it again, ice breaking exercises, um, and just getting to know who they are, and always responding in a supportive, positive way to everyone's contribution, no matter who they are, no matter their gender, their race, etc. And actually, because I am a black gay male in education in the United States of America, I do recognize quicker a student who may be reticent or holding back, trying to figure out, is this a safe space to share and actually promote their own identity, which may be different than the majority. And I try to make sure that they feel their offerings is equal in value to everyone else's. For instance, maybe they will say something and answer a prompt that the class is answering and only give a very short answer. I actually am sincerely interested in learning more about each one of them. I think people, and young people especially, are fascinating, especially because they are different. It's never a boring subject. And when someone comes to me bringing something that's different than what everyone else has said, I ask them to expand on that, showing interest in their response, showing interest in who they are. And this is displayed in front of the other students in the classroom community. It might even be a response that, I like the word engenders, but make another student who is holding back to offer more. And celebrating all the different perspectives that they come up with. None of them are wrong. All thoughts and feelings, especially, are valid. And so the conversation really is powerful in the classroom. And in just simple things like speaking to everybody who comes to the door. Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? And by name, and maybe even remembering something that's been going on with them that you asked them about to check in on. I mean, making the student feel like you are concerned about their well-being is probably 80%, maybe 90% of how you can combat things like racism, sexism, homophobia, and other things. Just being a good human being. That those things that I just listed are really problematic when talking about human behavior and interaction. So you can also do things in the classroom by highlighting others who are like them. Maybe it's an African American concert flautist. Maybe it's a transgender timpanist. Maybe it's, somebody who they connect to because they look and seem to be like them. Highlighting that person's career, maybe doing a piece, maybe having them do a report on that, maybe even just showing a performance and then talking excitedly about this performer, and not even mentioning some differences are visible and some are not, that this person is and someone like themselves, not putting them out directly, but yeah. So, and also celebrating successes with students equally, not making anyone feel special because they are different, but making sure that if they are successful and have achieved in some way, they are celebrated just as much as someone else is as well. It's very important. Not to go in too much of one direction or the other, and making sure that you're only celebrating them because they have been academically or performance successfully, and then being honest. If they are not, or they could have been better, you need to be honest and give them that feedback. Don't hold back on that feedback because you think you need to be nicer to them. That is not fair, and I think that you will find that anybody will appreciate your fairness and honesty. Consistency, especially, goes a long way in the classroom. Um, and and lastly, one thing that I've learned in my teaching experience is that something that is not easy to do, but goes a long way and does amazing, it makes amazing things happen. And it really requires the teacher themselves to be in touch with who they are. Really requires you to spend time knowing who you are and being open to this, but love. You need to love. If you want to do well, you should love everybody that comes to your classroom doing it. It should be easy because they're all different. They're all unique. They're all beautiful for the reasons that they are beautiful. And each one of them is different from each other. And I just am absolutely enamored with human beings because they all bring light and joy to the table. I hope that is a good response to the prompt. And this is coming from someone who has experienced all of that: racism, sexism, and homophobia in so many facets of my life. But again, we don't need to have a movie, just a response to the prompt. Thank you. Bye bye.